All right, today we're going to play translator. We're taking all that complex, confusing tech language and turning it into the language that actually matters to a business. We're talking faster launches, lower costs, and a real competitive edge. So let's get right to it.
You know this scene, right? We've all been there. You're trying to focus on the business plan, the P&L, but the room is just buzzing with these terms that feel like they're from another planet, and it's frustrating. It feels like you're on the outside looking in on a conversation that's fundamentally about the future of your company.
And that is the big question we're going to answer today. Look, this isn't a technical manual for engineers. Think of it as your strategic briefing. We're going to skip the nerdy definitions and get right to the good stuff. What does all this mean for your bottom line?
Okay, first things first, the blueprint. Before anyone even thinks about writing a single line of code, there's a huge strategic choice to be made. How are we actually going to build this thing? And trust me, this decision sets the stage for everything that comes after. So let's think about it like this. The old school method, Waterfall, is kind of like building a skyscraper. You need every single blueprint, every detail planned out and signed off in blood before you even break ground. It's super rigid, one step after another. Agile, though, that's more like sculpting a masterpiece. You start with a vision, you work in these short, focused bursts, we call them sprints, and then you step back, you get feedback, and you adjust. It's all about being able to adapt on the fly. And this is where that choice really hits home for the business. Let's take risk management. With Waterfall, you could be almost done with your skyscraper and suddenly find a massive, expensive flaw in the foundation. Disaster, right? But with Agile, because you're working in these small cycles, you catch those risks early and often, when they're still small and cheap to fix. And same thing with customer involvement. It's the difference between constant collaboration and pretty much radio silence until the grand unveiling.
And the impact on the business? Well, it's pretty staggering. Agile companies report getting to market 40% faster. That means getting your product into customers' hands way, way sooner. This approach also leads to a 65% lower risk of going over budget. Why? Because you're not wasting millions building features that, it turns out, nobody actually wanted. And since the customer is a part of the journey the whole way, you see this, an 87% higher satisfaction rate. They feel heard because, well, they are. So when you put it all together, it boils down to this. Agile projects are literally twice as likely to succeed. Think about that for a second. Twice. That's a massive direct impact on your return on investment. So having an Agile blueprint is fantastic, but it's still just a plan on paper. To make it actually run and run at speed, you need a seriously powerful cultural engine. And that engine? It's called DevOps. Now, the most important thing to get about DevOps is that it's not really about tools or software. It's a culture shift. It's about tearing down those invisible walls between your teams, ending the blame game, and getting everyone, developers, operations, everyone on one unified team, chasing the same business goals. Imagine a restaurant for a second. In the old model, the kitchen, your developers, makes the food. The servers, your operations team, deliver it. If the food arrives cold, the kitchen blames the servers blame the kitchen. Sound familiar? But in the DevOps restaurant, the chef and the head server are working together, side by side, because they have one shared goal, making sure the customer has an amazing meal. It's all about shared responsibility for that final result. And look, this isn't just theory. Here are the hard numbers from a real B2B company. Before they adopted DevOps, they were deploying changes maybe once a month. A full 30% of their top engineering talent's time was just wasted on manual grunt work. But after, they were deploying every single day, they cut their infrastructure costs by 40%, and their top engineers were innovating. They unlocked their best people to build the future instead of just keeping the lights on. Okay, so you've got your Agile blueprint, you've got your collaborative DevOps culture. Now, how do you actually get your product out the door to customers, safely and quickly? Simple. You build an automated assembly line. In the tech world, we call this CI/CD. The best way to think about it is like a modern car factory. The first part, CI, or continuous integration, that's where every new car part is automatically tested hundreds of times a day to make sure it fits perfectly. Then comes CD. Now with continuous delivery, the fully assembled car is sitting there, keys in the ignition, ready to go, just waiting for a business person to hit the ship it button. But with continuous deployment, well, the moment that car passes all its tests, it drives itself right off the assembly line and onto the delivery truck. It's fully automated. So why should you, as a business leader, care about this? It really comes down to 3 huge wins.
First, all that automation dramatically slashes the risk of human error, which means a higher quality, more stable product. Second, it shrinks your delivery time from weeks or days down to just hours. And third, and this is a big one, it frees up your most expensive talent, your engineers, from doing tedious manual tasks so they can focus on what you hired them for, innovation. All right, we've covered the process, the culture, and the assembly line. Now for the final piece of the puzzle, the product itself. The way your software is structured under the hood, its architecture, is what determines whether it can scale with your success or if it's going to crumble under the first sign of pressure. Okay, this is my absolute favorite analogy. For decades, most software was built like a monolith. Think of one giant, solid block of marble. It might be beautiful, but if you get a crack in one spot, the whole statue is at risk. The modern way is to use microservices, which is like building with independent Lego bricks. Each core function of your business, like payments or user search, is its own separate brick. So if the payments brick breaks, who cares? The rest of your Lego castles stay standing. The business case for this is just incredibly powerful. When Black Friday hits, you don't have to scale up your entire application. You just add more power to the payments Lego brick. It saves a fortune. It gives you incredible resilience because one problem can't take down your entire business. And it means small, focused teams can innovate on their specific brick way, way faster without worrying about breaking everything else. Okay, so let's bring it all home. These 4 things we've talked about, Agile, DevOps, CI/CD, and microservices, they aren't just separate ideas. They're an interconnected strategic toolkit. Agile is your framework for adapting to change. DevOps is your culture of speed. CI/CD is your engine for reliable delivery. And microservices is your blueprint for growth. They all work together to create a truly high-performing digital business. So now you're equipped. You can go back into those meetings and cut through the noise with the right questions. Here are 3 you can literally ask tomorrow. First, how long does it take us to get a simple bug fix from a developer's desk into the hands of our customers? The answer to that question will tell you everything about your real speed to market. If our most popular feature suddenly got 10 times its normal traffic, what would happen? Would our whole system grind to a halt? This question gets right to the heart of your system's resilience and its ability to scale when you need it most. And finally, this one might be the most telling. When was the last time we completely changed a project's direction because of customer feedback? And honestly, how painful was that process for the team? That will tell you how truly agile your organization is. So I'll leave you with this final thought. By understanding these concepts, you can fundamentally shift the conversation inside your company. You can help move technology from being just another line item on a spreadsheet to being the core engine that drives your growth. So you have to ask yourself, is your tech just a cost center, or is it your #1 competitive advantage? Now you've got the tools to decide.